November 18th, 2001. And I apologize, but this is going to be a little disjointed because these were just emails back and forth. And so I'm trying to kind of interpret as I go along. Dear Peter Kent, you can find photos of me on these pages. And then there's no pages listed. So I don't know what that was about. Sorry, I am not naked in any of them. My schedule for Monday is 7 o'clock, wake up missing you, and then look forward to the next time you are in my arms. 8 o'clock, blading with my mom, rollerblading. 9 o'clock, check email and get everyone going at Easy Street. 10 o'clock, be at the tax deed sale downtown. 12 o'clock, back to Easy Street. 2 p.m., workout at the gym with Jamie until 4. The best time to see the cats is around 4:30 because that's when they start getting up and ready for dinner. I look forward to meeting Peter. His son was named Peter and he was coming into town. So that's why it gets even more confusing because it's Peter and his son Peter. I'm looking forward to meeting Peter and could do that between noon and 2 or after 4. Just let me know. I will work late tonight so that I do not dwell on how much I long for your gentle embrace. I love you. For the cats, Carole Lewis, founder. And then this looks like it's my diary entry saying Peter Kent's son, Peter, is visiting until the 20th. So Peter is at his apartment in St. Pete so that they can spend quality time together. Last night, Peter worked until dark, and then we went to eat at Durango's. Despite the fact that I am still bleeding, Peter wanted to make love, and since I am in no pain and feeling rather good, I was happy to join in. I get so I'm not going to talk about that. Too racy. I think only embarrassment at being so easily aroused kept me from it. I lasted all of a minute, perhaps. To read down through this. I don't know how to deal with this. I have been the giver and now find myself doing most of the taking. Peter is the best sexual partner I have ever had. His skill and apparent desire to please me. Okay. It makes him the most giving lover I've ever known. Earlier today, he said he could only promise 30 more years like this one. If he is good to his word, it will be the best 30 years of my life. I have only known Peter for 2 weeks, and last night I asked him to move in with me. I was with Dawn for 8 years before we moved in together. I was with Alan for 5 months before making such a suggestion, and that had just ended rather badly. I had no intention of getting involved in a monogamous relationship when I met Peter, and I told him so the first night. I had began to remake the island into my own private sanctuary, far from anything that resembled responsibility. And I didn't talk about it here. Maybe I should go back in and edit it, because I don't know if I ever talked about it anywhere. But I had decided that I just got rid of like almost all of my furniture, except for my bed and a dining room table and some dresser drawers. And so I had put up these big murals of a sunset in what would have been the living room, dining room area. And my plan was I think this was about the same time Jamie had bought me a hammock. So it was in that room, and it was going to be my hammock in front of my big mural of the sunset on the beach. And then the house is almost all either big sliding glass doors or French doors, because I live in such a beautiful area that you just want to see the outside everywhere that you can. And most of my walls now are covered in mirrors so that it even reflects even more of that outside on the inside. But anyway, at this point, I had this mural, I have my hammock, and I was thinking, since it's tile in here, I'm just going to haul in a bunch of sand, fill the entire room with sand so that I can walk around on my sandy beach and lay in my hammock in my room. So when I talk about being no responsibility, that's what I mean. And then I had started hanging like around my bed. I had all of these hanging candles, and these were not just candles. I mean, these were like these big beaded with shells and just really extravagant kind of things. Like each one was a little art piece hanging from the ceiling, but all in this like shroud around the bed. So it was beautiful, just beautiful. I loved it. I'm really a minimalist. I don't like a lot of stuff in my space. I like just space. But getting back to the diary, it says, I was looking forward to just meeting some great people and enjoying them on a casual basis. It is against God's law that I have a man who is not my husband, and since I have no intention of getting married, it makes little difference if I sleep with a man because I love him or if I even know his name. It is wrong either way, and neither is less of an infraction of the commandments. I was instantly attracted to Peter and wanted to know him sexually, and maybe even get to know him better. When I offered to drive him to Jacksonville, I felt sure that by the end of the weekend we would have known the excitement of two strongly sexual beings having come together in passion that would far exceed any later encounters between us. I didn't say between us, but that's what I meant there, as you can tell as I go on here. The first time is always the best. Sometimes it's the only good time. On the drive up, Peter was quite entertaining and talkative. He surely told me every bad thing he ever did, and I was puzzled why anyone who was hoping to get laid would bear his failures so shamelessly. I can only speculate as to the reasoning. Perhaps in time I will understand. At any rate, the first time was predictably terrific, and if it had been the last time, no other man would ever be able to compare. Peter has the most amazing body, not saying that, or that. Saturday night, the 10th, we got in after dark, and Peter stayed the night on the island. The sex and the intimacy were actually better than the night before. Has that ever happened? I began thinking that with a lover like Peter, I don't need anyone else. He could obviously satisfy all of my desires. Sunday morning, before church, Peter asked if I wanted to have sex. I always want to have sex, and even though I was stinging and sore, no, I'm not going to go into that either. My grandmother noticed at church that I was glowing, so I told her all about Peter. Well, not everything. Sunday afternoon, Peter was working on cleaning up the riverbank so that I could see the river from the house. Several times throughout the day, I would stop my closet cleaning and just watch him work. He works with such total abandon. He really throws himself fully into the task. I saw the sweat glistening on his tanned face and muscled arms. His hair was wet with sweat. Just looking at him made me sweat. I had to turn back to my work or risk causing him to lose the whole day if I were to give in to my impulse to go make love to him on the riverbank. After a whole day of foreplay and watching him from a distance, our sexual encounter that evening was even better than before. He has so much energy. I love the way it feels to be totally engulfed in his enchanting presence. Monday, I tried to leave him alone so that he could rack up some payable hours, but it was so hard. I couldn't wait to be back in his embrace. I was beginning to look forward to our evenings of candles, the hot tub, and incredible sex. Tuesday morning, I married Georgia Spiller to Garland Shields, and as I recited the wedding vows for them to repeat to each other and saw the love in their eyes, I could not help but feel I was the happiest person on the beach that day. I have been so blessed. I only ask God for three things in a man. One, that he know God, or at least be truly searching for him. How wonderful it would be to actually have a spiritual leader in a mate. Two, that he be someone I could be in awe of. And three, that he not be just absolutely horrible in the sack. I knew I was asking for the world with a description like that, but God, being the loving Father that he is, went one better and gave me all three that I asked for and more. This mate that God had provided me is a marvelous lover, and is truly the most gorgeous man I have ever laid eyes on. It wasn't until Wednesday that I discovered Peter to be a healer as well. What could be better than this? Tuesday night was. We shared a night of passion that is the kind of stuff books are written about. It was the kind of intertwining of souls and bodies that cannot even be expressed in words. Our lovemaking was nothing short of miraculous. My fingers tremble at this keyboard in fond remembrance. I am at a loss for words. I have deferred to poetry to try and express my joy, and once Peter knew it was actually written for him, he appreciated it all the more. I cannot believe how good we are together, and how quickly we are becoming inseparable. I finally feel complete. So here I am, 2 weeks later, and I have asked Peter to move in with me. I would like to have known him better first, but at this juncture, think anything I would not like about him is probably immaterial. How bad could anything be about him that would change the way I feel? How could any man be so loving, gentle, caring, and yet powerful, passionate, and sensuous? How could a man like Peter be anything but healing for me? And then this looks like it's an email from Peter to me. And it says, I would rather between noon and 2 just so that I can lazy the morning and see you earlier. Should that not be okay, just phone me on my cell and we'll change. Don't compromise your day for my schedule. Anytime will be okay. Love, PK. And then this looks like another email separately from him saying, we had a couple of drinks at the Outback restaurant for dinner, talking about him and his son, and then rented a video at Peter's request. Typo in there. He has been asleep for about 10 minutes into it after we both discovered we had seen it before. I am coming to the realization suddenly that I cannot enjoy that thing that you like doing when I am here and you are there. Good night, babe. Signed, Peter Kent. And then it says, I sent Peter the entry from my journal above that night, and this was his response. How beautiful. How I wish to make you a perpetually sore woman, something to think about each day as you move, someone to heal once more in the evening. Science teaches us that somototropin, and I could have been, I don't know if he spelled that. I guess he must have spelled that. And I don't know if that's even a real thing, but somototropin, released by the pituitary gland in our sleep, is our healing and anti-aging cure. I think the female orgasm, more so your orgasm, is what heals me. I carry your cure. Your participation is heavenly and loving and completing and repeating and erases all the memories of things unnecessary. We shall be lovers for the rest of time. I thank you for being so remarkably present in so many ways. I spent $508 at Costco yesterday afternoon and $45 at the Outback restaurant. I had to have Peter rent the video at Blockbuster last evening. I worked 2.5 hours yesterday morning before going to Tampa International Airport to get him. He is leaving tomorrow. I wish for you to have some time with him before that. Signed, PK. And then it says, I opened my mail this morning and I got this email from him. I bid on a job in Sarasota 2 months ago. It is a somewhat gravy job to rebuild and rescreen a pool cage and repair some of the light damage caused by the storm of 6 months back, tearing the cage from the soffit and fascia. I picked up my mail from the box last evening, and as I went up the stair here with Peter, and there was a deposit, another typo, of 50% and $1,200 in an envelope there. I have to do this work and have to get my truck fixed in order to do the work. I would be driving the truck and motorcycle there, leaving the truck and traveling back and forth to you each evening. It will probably take me about 7 days to complete the work. I cannot start until I get the truck repaired. PK. And then my email to Peter. Dear Peter Kent, it was so nice to see the way you and Peter are together. You both seem quite at ease. I loved his answer to my question about the trait he thinks you both most share. Determination is synonymous to persistence, which I had just revealed is the most powerful human trait to my way of thinking. I admire determination in any animal, especially humans, and so I found his answer to be one that I will treasure as an insight to his personality and his concept of his father. After sending you the entry from my journal, it occurred to me that I must have had sex on my mind. Later I had sex without you so that I could go to sleep, but it just isn't the same. I had convinced myself before meeting you that I was my best sex partner and didn't need a man, except as an occasional diversion. You have certainly complicated my life. You have changed the direction I was heading in, but it isn't because of your skill as a sexual partner, but rather is more because of who you are entirely. It is because of who you are as a life partner that has touched my heart. It is much harder for me to verbalize the impact you have had on my spirit. I want you to know that you please me in every way. I was also pleased that you checked into AAA insurance. I really like Progressive, or else I wouldn't have chosen them. I want to get you covered as soon as possible. If I can put your premium on my credit card or via a check, let me know, and you can work it off. I would assume that the incident involving the kitchen knife, that he was arrested for shoplifting, will require a court date. When is that, so that I can be sure to get you there so that you can avoid another warrant? I am free on Wednesday until 2 p.m. if you want to take care of the outstanding warrant regarding the motorcycle endorsement. Congratulations on the Sarasota screen job. Something seems to be calling you from there.